How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? It's your boy here, Willing&Able here, back with another one. And today, guys, I have a very special guest. His name is Mr. Cooper. So introduce yourself, Mr. Cooper, and tell us a little bit about what you do for a living.
Hey everybody, my name is Mr. Cooper. I'm a middle school social studies teacher. I graduated from Georgia College 2020, studied middle grades education, and now I'm a sixth grade social studies teacher in Warner Robins, Georgia.
Okay. So what made you get into the teaching profession, or how did you get into the teaching profession?
Well, I think I entered the teaching profession, specifically middle grades, because throughout middle school, I struggled academically. Sixth grade was a year I struggled in academics. And when I got to seventh grade, really, I had a strong team of teachers who really mentored and molded me. My seventh grade math teacher, Miss April Roberts, she really mentored me and worked with me in math. And I ended up exceeding the CRCT that year, thanks to her work and hard work and just not giving up on me. So I guess that whole impact of teachers that year really impacted me to teach middle grades and just to give back to middle school students.
That's amazing. Yeah, we definitely I like how you turned your trial or tribulation into um what's the word, into a accolade, I could say
Yeah,
accomplishment, because you looking back at it like, wow, I struggled in the sixth grade. Let me go back and teach the sixth graders, the seventh graders, and eighth graders, so they won't have to go through that trial that I went through. And I think my pastor said something like that. Sometimes we go through trials so we can help somebody not go to that trial, or to get through the trial that we went through. Our testimony is for other people, not for us. So you definitely walking and living your testimony, man. I'm proud of you for that, man, because we definitely need more black male teachers as it is.
definitely.
So what is it like being a black male teacher?
Being a Black male teacher, I guess I've known the statistics since high school, really. 2% remains the number of Black male teachers in America. But for me, being a Black male teacher, I've always had like a cohort of men around me. I'm part of Call Me Mr. Call Me Mr. stands for Mentors Instructing Students Towards Effective Role Models. It was a college program started at Clemson University, basically to increase the pool of Black male educators in America. So, as being a Black male teacher, I've been able to get mentored by numerous Call Me Misters and just work on my craft and teacher efficacy. So, I feel like I have somebody to lean on. And thankfully, at my school, I do have a lot of Black male educators at my school. So, it's encouraging to see because that's not the case for all of America. But it's good to see I have people to lean on if I make mistakes or need advice. So, and it's also good for students to see representation and they see people who look like them as well. I think that's a huge part of it as well.
Yes, that's a big thing. Because I noticed when I was subbing, more of the male students gravitated towards me, and I saw that some of them, they didn't have a father figure in their house, and they would personally tell me, and I just be like, oh wow. So I realized, it's more to being a teacher than I thought, because the way I got into teaching was by God, literally. I tell this story all the time. I was about to be a lawyer. I was going to law school, and next thing you know, God told me to be a teacher. So I started subbing, and I noticed I gravitated toward the kids gravitated towards me. And like you said, we definitely need more male teachers. And I like that the fact that you have those people who you can go to and be like, hey, how should I handle this situation? How should I go about that situation? So that's a blessing that you have that, man. And what you think we can do to get more black male teachers into the teaching profession?
Um, I know a lot of times, oftentimes, Black male enter due to wanting to coach. That's a huge attribute. But I think we have to teach them that there's art and craft and planting seeds. Because just like sometimes coaches plant seeds and they may see the fruit the same season or may not see the same season, but we just have to introduce it. You can still plant seeds and you can coach in your classroom, but teaching is like coaching. You have to have a playbook. You have to have rules and procedures that you follow. But when you teach, you can go off the chart. you can plant those seeds of unprecedented success. So just encouraging them, if you want to plant seeds, the classroom is for you, you want to see your community better. It starts in the classroom. It starts building those seeds with those young Black boys and encouraging them to grow up and be prominent men in society. Because oftentimes, even now, our prisons are made based off the demographics of young Black men in first through third grade. So I
Wow.
think if we counterculture that and get more Black males in the school system, in the classroom, not just as coaches, not just as ISS teachers, but as academic teachers, we can combat that by just encouraging our young Black boys to make something of themselves in life.
That's real. That I did not know that about the jail. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh man, they kind of got me into the next question. So I'm gonna skip a question, and it says, what type of impact do you want to have on your students, and give an example of how you already do that.
I think for me, the kind of impact I want to see is just encouraging them to be the best that they can be. Because teaching, it starts with building relationships. I know oftentimes we say, oh, you need to build relationships, but building intentional, impactful relationships is what I try to do. So during the first 3 weeks of school, before I even teach content, I'm teaching SEL, social emotional learning, getting to know my scholars. What's your favorite movie? What kind of music do you want to listen to in the classroom? What do I need to know about you? What do I need to know about your outside life? So I think in order to impact, you have to build those relationships first. And that's something I do. Even on Mondays, I have this thing called Monday check-in, where they can say one or two things that they've done over the weekend, where we get to check in and then we can go with our academics. But it's all about building relationships. And I've noticed going into my third year teaching that once you build those relationships, that the impacts come. So recently on the last day of school, the students, they come back up to you and tell you how much you're going to miss you, how much you've impacted their life. Even students you may have got onto, but you have to build those impactful relationships first, and then those blossoms into seeds of unprecedented success. So I guess it all starts with relationships, and then they're impacted when they see that you actually care.
Okay. I like the idea of the Monday check-in. Because personally, I was like I said, I'm a new teacher. This is my first year coming up, and I was gonna do something like that. But it was gonna be like on Fridays, and it was gonna be like you could ask Mr. Brian any question. So I gotta find a name for it. But
Yeah,
I was gonna, because some of the kids they need that because I noticed when I was subbing, a lot of kids didn't know nothing about college or high school, and I was like, wow.
exactly.
So I would let them, show them on my phone like, hey, this is me graduating. Hey, what question do you have about college? And one girl, she came up to me, she was like, Mr. Brian, I'm trying to be a lawyer. Can you help me? I remember you was talking about being a lawyer, and I was like, sure, just do these steps right here. And I remember it was one young man. He wasn't doing too good. In life, I said like that, and I just helped him. I molded him, and I was like, hey man, you can do it. And that kid turned out, this man ended up passing all his classes and end up going to the high school. So I was like, all glory be to God, because just that impact, you never know, 10 years, 20 years from now, he could be like, Mr. Bryant, I just graduated from college, man. I just started my family. Thank you for putting that seed into my life, and I can give honor to God, and I could be like, hey, that was God. And it could just
Exactly.
I could have just turned his life around and did not even know it.
Exactly. You're right. Yeah, it's all kinds of seeds that you plant.
Right. So what is the pros and cons of being a teacher and being a black male teacher?
The pros and cons. I started teaching when I was, I think, 22 or 23. I just turned 25. I guess a con is if you're younger, you have to go in strong. Like you can't kid around with them all the time. You've got to demand respect and authority in your classroom. So I would say go into it with your rules and procedures. It's okay to play, but they still have to respect you. I've seen a lot of times where younger teachers go in and they want to be best friends with students. And that's cool until the end of the year or even second semester when they don't take you serious. So I think that one thing you have to do is go in strong with your rules and procedures and classroom norms. Um, I guess a con, well, that can be a pro and a con as they see you as younger, kind of. Another pro is that, students, another good thing about that, you being young, they feel like they can trust you. So sometimes those relationships are there. They can talk to you, they can depend on you. So that's a good thing as well. So,
Right. I agree with that. And
yeah,
I learned that from being a sub, and older veteran teachers, they used to tell me, because that was the middle school that I used to go to. So three of my teachers who taught me are still there, and they were
yeah,
just saying like, hey, you can't be too friendly with them, because like you said, they get to the point where they don't respect you. And I remember
exactly.
when I first started being a sub, I didn't know what I was doing, bro. I was just like, okay, just sit down, do your homework, do your work the teacher left you, and I let them talk and stuff. And I noticed like they was getting to where to the point where I ain't gonna say they didn't respect me, because they always respected me. It just was
Yeah,
they'll feel like I lead them, like get them a little length to keep going. And I realized like, wow, I had to stop that. And I was like, you know what? If it take me sending y'all to the principal, that's what I'm gonna have to do. And it took just sending like 4 students to the principal one day, and they was acting right ever since then. So I was just like,
exactly.
wow. So what is your plans or goals for the up and coming school year?
My goals for the upcoming school year, this will be my third year, same content area. Over the summer, I actually led a summer program. So I say I teach year round, but in the summers, oftentimes I'm leading a summer program or working with students over the summer. But I think I always say this, building relationships, definitely. I want to get to know my scholars inside and outside of schools. For the past 2 years, I really haven't got to go to football games or anything because of COVID. So this year, I definitely want to attend games. I want to get involved more. I've got an after school club I'm starting up. Well, actually, two clubs that I'm doing, but one that I really want to get started off the ground and make content for. So, um, just being involved more in my school with extracurricular activities, because that's a lot of times you see student growth when you come to their games and they see that you're involved. So I want to get involved with extracurriculars more this school year.
Okay, and you brought up something that I'm trying to get into with the after school club. So how did you go about doing that? Because I'm trying to start that up too.
Yes. So last year, my second year teaching, my principal asked if I would do the academic bowl.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like a quiz bowl. Students, they have questions, I prepare them, and we just go from there. It's also a student leadership club that I'm doing as well. And she asked me to start that. So it's like student council,
Hmm.
like you had when you were in high school. You can vote on people for class officer, basically teaching them leadership skills and how to speak in front of people, as well as being an ambassador in the community. So um, I would say definitely your first year, you may want to tag team with someone because the first year is a lot in itself. But by the second year, definitely I would recommend, leading a club because that's a way to get to know students.
Okay. And what advice would you give to a first year teacher?
I would say as a first year teacher, you have to make it your own. You can't go in the thinking that you're going to save everyone, thinking that you're going to have you seen the show Abbott Elementary?
Yeah, I'm watching that. That's a good show.
Yeah. So you can't go in thinking you're just going to save everything from day one. You have to go in and you have to set your boundaries. You have to make it your own. So if it takes you 2 weeks to do rules and procedures and that's all you're doing, you need to do rules and procedures because that's going to help you advance in the school year. So I would say definitely make it your own. Don't model. Of course, you have mentor teachers, but don't try to model after this one specific, maybe Instagram teacher you want to be like. You have to make it your own because we each bring our own wealth of knowledge and our own classroom experience. So I would just definitely say make it your own.
Okay. And now it's time for my favorite question. What is your willing and able moment?
My willing and able moment, I was thinking about that as you were put that up there. So Mine is a twofold question because I graduated from college. I went to school for middle grades education. I went to a predominantly white institution. There were all in all sped, middle, and high school. There was 80 teacher candidates, student teachers. Three of us were African Americans. There was one in early childhood. There was one in middle, maybe two in middle, and then there was one in high school. So I think going through that program, I learned so much about myself as an educator. There were many trials and tribulations in that program. I almost wanted to drop out at some points. There were microaggressions that we had to go through, things that were not right, ethically not right, just in racism as well. But what I
Wow.
did was to combat all of that, I learned that students need me. I always thrived when I was in the classroom. Like some days, like when I was student teaching, like some days, college classes, they were okay. Professors are going to do what they want to do anyways. They have favorites. Obviously, I was not a favorite. But when I got into my student teaching, I was able to blossom and I worked well with my student teachers. All student teachers raved about me. They wanted me in their classroom. And it got to the point where some professors, she didn't even understand why they liked me so much because she would always just have something to say about me. Um, but what I realized was that I had to put God first into my plans. And when I began to put God into my plans, that's when I saw the favor of God work in my life. So I would say that for me, putting God first literally helped me because it helped me see that there was a bigger plan in my life. I knew that I wanted to be a teacher, but I feel like if I would have quit in those microaggression moments, if I would have quit when the going got tough, the students I have now would not have been able to benefit from that. So I say that to say sometimes God puts you into seasons and trials and tribulations that you can't run away from. You just have to dive into those situations. And in the end, God will show you why you had to go through that. Like I had to go through that because now the students that I teach, they need me and they count on me. So had I quit early in life, I would not have been where I am today. So I'd say that willing and able moment is just to stick with the plan and just to always follow God's plan, and He knows best.
It's amazing, man. I'm definitely proud of you for sticking it out because I also experienced that as well with the racism. And I didn't know it was that bad until I started getting into the world necessarily. And I'm glad that you stuck it out. I'm glad that you didn't let that deter you from becoming a teacher because, like you said, it's students that need people like me and you, especially young black men or minority men. They need to see somebody who looks like them, and then they'll be like, okay, cool. Because I didn't have my first male teacher until the seventh grade. His name was Coach Everett. He's still at the middle school. And that was my first black male teacher and male teacher in general. And I didn't have another one until my 11th grade year, and I didn't have another black male teacher till I went to college. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it definitely needs to be more of us into the field. And I feel like it's a lot of us out here, and we just got to get them to the education, field, because it ran by women. You look at it, it's a lot of women
Exactly.
in it, so that might deter some
Yes.
brothers away from it. And some brothers might be like, they don't think it's for men, which is crazy
Exactly.
because when I talk to the women who teaches, they be like, we need you, like we need more of you in there. So it's just like, wow, if
Exactly.
more men saw that, they would want to get in because it's a dire need for us. But yeah, definitely need to get more of us in there.
Oh, yeah.
And my last
Yes.
question for you today is, do you have any questions for me?
My number one question, are you excited for your first year of teaching?
Yes, I'm definitely excited. I'm ready to get in the classroom. I have my official classroom now. So I'm ready to, me and my mom been, making designs, and she getting ready to decorate it. And I'm just excited to see the kids seeing that I'm an actual teacher, because they can see like Mr. Brian went from a sub to a teacher with less than 6 months, really 5. All glory be to
Yeah.
God. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
What grade level?
I'm teaching 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Okay, cool. What do
Yeah.
you look forward to the most?
The relationships, making a connection with the kids. Cause like I said
Yeah.
previously, I want somebody to come back 10 years from now. And they say Mr. Brian played a great impact on my life, or just like me returning back to the middle school I taught at, my former teachers, they always be like, I'm proud of you, man. Like, and this, like, this is it was an emotional moment because one of my teachers, I was just in there because I was a sub. So I was it was a parapro who was out that day. So I was in his classroom for like a period, and he stopped his entire lesson. It was like, this is my former student. He went to college, he made it out of Fort Valley. He came back to teach y'all. Like, he was doing his work in school. He didn't play around. He was just like, man, I'm proud of you, young man. I was just like, wow. So I want that same feeling. I want my kids to come back to me and just, and I could say that to them too.
Exactly. Exactly. That's
But
exciting. I'm excited for you.
thank you, my brother. Thank you. I just want to thank you for being a part of the Willing and Able show. Definitely ready for this new school year to kick off, and I'm definitely gonna stay and connect with you if that's okay, because I
Yes,
know I'm gonna
sir.
need help
Definitely.
with this teaching. But definitely thank you again. May God bless you, and I'm gonna continue to pray for your healing, my brother. But God bless, man. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ernie.